Harry Potter and the Xbox Kinect. An IP that's having a rough patch due to some unsavory words being said in the public eye, and a console that would counter-argue by saying any press is good press because it's been about 10 years since anyone's even thought about it. Because I clearly have nothing better to do, I figured I'd give the game a play.
Are you ready, kids?
The first thing we do is choose what difficulty to play on. Of course, because I'm a hardcore gamer, I opt for the most difficult possible option. The game then asks if we want to play in movie mode or custom mode. What does that mean? Well, movie mode means we play as Harry, while custom mode means we play as our own custom character. It goes without saying I had to choose custom. Then the game wants to take a photo of my face to generate our custom character. It was at this point I decided the true face of the channel isn't actually mine, but it's the channel profile icon of that poor old sausage dog recovering from being stung by a bee.
Alright, I've got it. I've got that. This better work.
So I got the picture up on my phone, and after some trial and error, I was able to take a photo I was satisfied with. The game then lets me choose which avatar design I want, which seems to just change the hairstyle, and there's our custom character. What an absolute abomination.
What is that? Ugh, it's hideous.
Oh, that's not very nice. It's just a dog.
The first step to becoming a wizard is visiting Ollivander's wand shop to choose our wand. And one thing I'll say about this bloke is he loves to talk. It doesn't help that every wand I pick up seems to go haywire and cause problems in his shop, giving him more opportunities to yap. I know that's how it plays out in the movie, but it makes for some pretty patience-testing gameplay.
Is that good?
Oh, bravo!
Alright, sick. I'll buy it.
Finally, I find a wand that isn't a piece of garbage, and now it's time to go to Hogwarts and be sorted into a house. The game tells me that saying the name of the house I want to be in might sway the sorting hat's decision, and you can tell by the way I spoke and the 1,000-yard stare in my eyes that I had no faith in the game accurately identifying what I was saying.
Hufflepuff.
Difficult.
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff is the place for you.
You're goddamn right.
Our first class is potions with a very tired Professor Snape. We stir the potion, toss stuff in, and look at an icon, choosing which of the two options that icon clearly is. It's basically like the potion brewing in the Half-Blood Prince game, except much slower and less intuitive, because through the power of technology, you are the controller. Success! Of all the stills of me playing it could have picked, the game understood the assignment. We learn how to cast Wingardium Leviosa in Warwick Davis's Charms class by flicking our wand at feathers.
Wingardium Leviosa. Wingardium Leviosa.
And then the troll attacks me in the bathroom, and I gotta say, this scene is much more terrifying than it is in the movie. At least I know that thing definitely is. We jump, duck, and step sideways to avoid the troll's club. It makes no sense in the context of the scene why we're behaving this way, but I guess when trying to fit in with the type of gameplay the Kinect is capable of, there's only so much you can do. After a couple of failed attempts resulting in deaths, I was once again running low on health when Harry and Ron showed up to save the day. We switched to them to throw stuff at the troll, but unfortunately, for some reason, all of my throws weren't hitting the target, and I failed. After having to go through this stepping and dodging gameplay once again, on the next attempt, much like Garfield, I decided it was time to get real. I couldn't tell you what I did differently this time around, but for some reason, I was fully dialed in, and all of my shots hit.
Like f***ing Elf from Elf.
Next, we're supposed to cast Wingardium Leviosa to lift the club and hit the troll on the head. I kept casting, but nothing was happening. I had no idea where exactly the game wanted me to cast the spell, and I quickly panicked at the thought of failing and having to do the whole troll battle again from the start. But for some reason, I guess the game took mercy on me. It just moved on. Throwing 100, you better believe it. Spellcasting 10.
That's just like,
your opinion, man.
In Quidditch, we fly by leaning left or right, trying to stick as close to the line as possible to go faster. When Slytherins show up, we punch them with no remorse to get them out the way.
Yeah, get out of here.
I was doing this for quite a long time before I started to wonder if it was ever going to end. I then realized I actually have to go fast enough to catch the snitch to end the level. So once again, I got in the zone, lifting my game, and you know what? This was actually pretty fun. The stakes were now raised, and my newfound intent to fly with precision made for a couple minutes of physical gameplay that felt like what the Kinect was designed to do. You can tell by how I was playing, I was surprisingly somewhat immersed in the moment.
I've got it. I've got the snitch. Woo!
It's time for the Philosopher's Stone Chamber. The game skips the Devil's Snare and goes straight to swiping at keys as they fly towards us. We then grab the key by reaching out our grubby little hand. The game also skips the chess room, so this really isn't the Philosopher's Stone Chamber, is it? It is more just a room where we slap some keys away for a moment and then grab one before the fight with Quirrell. And let me tell you, the fight with Quirrell is one of the most f***ing bizarre things I've ever played. His face fills the screen with this confronting POV shot as we're pinned down by the middle-aged man. We reach out our hands in desperation, trying to push him away. The glazed look in his eyes and just everything about how this plays out truly begs the question. Game designers, what in the blithering f*** were you thinking?
What a strange f***ing piece of gameplay that was.
It's time for our second year at Hogwarts, starting with the attack of the Doxies. It's some Fruit Ninja style slashing gameplay, which isn't bad, but it just makes me want to play Fruit Ninja, which is a better, more satisfying version of this. Neville keeps getting lifted and we have to slash quickly to free him, but sorry Neville, I'm playing on advanced difficulty, I'm sure you understand. Time to repot some mandrakes. We place our hands over our ears to put on the earmuffs and then pull out the plants that seem aggravated before moving to a vacant pot to stick them in. There's 3 rounds of this with a timer, and if it runs out, we lose. The first round is piss easy. The second round isn't too hard, adding the element of having to pour water over the mandrakes when they appear wilted. And then the third round is much more challenging, as we have to keep repotting them while pouring water on the wilted ones, while also pouring slug repellent in the event of a slug attack. I'm all for a challenge, but the problem here is if we fail, we have to do all 3 rounds again. This sucks because the first 2 rounds are so much easier, so it's just a chore having to get through them to get back to the final round for another attempt.
I haven't got time for this mandrake bullshit.
We duel against Malfoy. I assumed I'd just be able to spam attacks at him until he lost, but he reflected all of my attacks straight back at me and I was destroyed instantly. On attempt 2, I found the secret is to constantly strafe while spamming spells, and if he sticks his shield up, just wait it out. This dueling gameplay isn't bad at all. It doesn't have too much depth, but it works. Time for the Basilisk boss battle. The Basilisk hasn't been blinded yet, but it certainly doesn't seem to be able to see me based on how it's acting. Now, after the Basilisk is blinded in this second stage, it seems to be much better at seeing where I go because it's suddenly a lot better at reacting to my moves and hitting me. It feels like the people making the gameplay somehow got their wires crossed and made it blind during the wrong part.
Somewhere our wires got crossed.
This resulted in multiple failed attempts at stage 2, which is once again infuriating because it means having to play through the boring, easy first section multiple unnecessary times. But eventually I was able to slash up the Basilisk and save the day. The Whomping Willow is where the game starts to get very frustrating. It's just more of this dodging and jumping gameplay, but to ramp up the difficulty, we have to do it for much, much longer. Repeating these 2 stages again and again without any variation. And of course, having to start all over from the beginning if we die. It isn't fun when the difficulty increase comes from having to do the exact same things for longer just to open the window for more inevitable errors. Either by me, the Kinect sensor, or how the perspective perspective and speed of this particular part makes the timing of the jumps incredibly tedious. There's a level where we shoot Scabbers with a spell and then turn around to find him again and hit him with another one. We do this for a while until he turns into Peter Pettigrew. I imagine this gameplay must be quite dizzying to watch, so I'll just move on. The Dementors attack with 2 different fighting sections. The first is like this, which I think speaks for itself. Moving our hand so the light is on them when they charge is pretty straightforward stuff. And then in the second mode, there's a radar telling us where they're coming from, and we turn to make sure they're in our spell zone when they arrive. I can't tell you why, but I with this. For some reason, turning to catch them in the zone scratched a certain itch in my brain, and I found it unreasonably satisfying for what it is. Let's not get carried away, it's nothing too exciting, but I did have a good time doing it.
You having a good time?
Yes.
It's time for the 3 Triwizard Tournament events. Never mind, the game skips the dragon, because even though flying through Hogwarts to escape a dragon seems like a moment that would work perfectly within the restrictions of the Kinect, I guess they couldn't be bothered. We do some more Fruit Ninja type swiping to fight the Grindylows in the lake, and then some more sidestepping to dodge them. At this point, it feels like we're repeating the same mini-games with a different visual, and that reaches its boiling point as we run through the maze. This part is so much longer than it has any right to be, and it's just more and more jumping, dodging, and stepping from side to side. After multiple attempts, when I finally thought I'd gotten through it, this identical gameplay continues as we run alongside Cedric. It seemed like it was never going to end, and I only had 1 life left. You can call this the peak of immersion, or call it me fearing for the next 5 minutes of my life that the Kinect would bug out, me over, and force me to start the whole maze again, but I was genuinely quite scared. At the end of this, there's a duel against Voldemort, which is the same as the Malfoy one, but much more difficult. I did manage to reflect Voldemort's Levi Corpus back at him, and it was quite funny seeing him reduced to a laughingstock for a brief moment, but then he came back with a vengeance and destroyed me.
Oh, that's a satisfying enough end to the story, right? We don't have to go all the way.
At this point, I decided the game was just recycling a handful of very similar modes, but making me do it for longer, and I couldn't be bothered dealing with that. So there you go, that's my experience with the Harry Potter Kinect game.
I'm done! You hear me?